Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right. So, Leos, let's take a peek at this. We are going to do a little Celtic cross, kind of in honor of like Tree of Life energy. So, the central topic here is Six of Pentacles, Six of Swords. This looks like there is the question mark of whether or not Leo can get a relationship back to pure and good. We do have somebody who's like, on their knees begging forgiveness. We have a feminine holding the Libra scales here, and we got swords in her back, but trying to move on from this. There is a sense of like purity. There's a sense of deep apology, like, I'm so sorry that I wasn't there for you, or I'm so sorry. We do have a masculine kind of seemingly begging forgiveness that I wasn't there, that I didn't pour my energy into this, that I wasn't fair, equal, and balanced, that I wasn't where maybe I needed to be, that I left you high and dry. That is a very big central topic. Okay. That looks like, let me see what crosses it. Is this on Leo's mind, or is this on theirs, or is this on both people's minds, since we got two cards? We have a Nine of Wands sideways. What crosses it is this is still a wound. Okay. There is a wound that has not healed because somebody should have, possibly a masculine. It doesn't matter what genders we're talking about, but just to help keep the storyline straight, I'm going to go with what we saw on the card. So it would appear that there is an awareness that there's still a real wound here because somebody wasn't there for me. That is what I get here. It was such a betrayal that you weren't there for me when I needed you. Where were you? And we have the Hierophant. This is like, even if they weren't officially married, I'm hearing that song. I love that song by, is it Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald, On My Own? This isn't how it was supposed to be. It's the part where he says, so many promises never should be spoken. Losing you, it cut like a knife. You walked out and there went my life. It's such a great song. I love 80s songs. But this says, underneath it all, it's like, but we, even if we weren't married, there was a promise. We were supposed to have each other's backs. That's why this is such a betrayal still. That's why it's like, I have to move on from the fact that you weren't there for me. And that's the thing you promised to be. Even if it wasn't said out loud, the expectation was you should have been there for me and you weren't. And that still hurts. Okay. In the recent past, let's take a look at this. Three of Swords, devastating loss here. I really feel like this was, it's gotten a lot better, that hurt, that pain, that disappointment, because we're moving into calmer waters. But it's like, I didn't forget, though. I didn't forget it. And in the past, it was excruciating. It was really, really painful. We'll ask something in just a minute about that. But first, let's go to the crowning thought. The higher perspective on this is Queen of Cups in the reverse. Okay, the higher perspective, and I think this is even Leo saying, this is the year where it's, to quote Arcade Fire and the song Year of the Snake, it's a season of change. And if you feel strange, it is probably good. We have the serpent wrapped around her. This says, I am emotionally holding on. And I know that I'm doing this. I know that I'm making this continue to be a pain. I know that I'm still feeling the hurt, but I also know that I could choose to say, hey, nobody owed me, themselves being there for me. This is me maybe demanding that somebody was supposed to be there for me when I wanted them to be. So I think that remember, this is just the higher perspective. So it's going to be the thing where it's like, look, maybe I am, expecting too much of somebody. They don't have to be there for me. I don't really have a right to be mad because they chose not to be there for me. And while I can say, yes, that is true. And that's great to be able to be that, it takes a big person to be that blunt with themselves. But on the other hand, I would still say, yeah, but Leo still has a right to feel the hurt, So I love the fact that this is such a strong Leo, the fact that they're acknowledging, let this go. So they weren't there for me. It's kind of nuts that I keep insisting that they were supposed to be. Nobody has to sign up to do anything for another person. If you want to be there for someone, and be reliable, that's a choice, not something that's required. And I do feel like Leo is not sitting over here like demanding, but I will say that the hurt and the pain that they feel, they're like, ideally I should let go of this because they didn't have to be there for me. I mean, did it suck? Did it hurt? Did it feel like a big old fat betrayal? It did. But in truth, they didn't have to do anything for me. So they're well within their rights to not. I feel like this is how Leo is trying to like make peace of the situation. Let's take a look at upcoming future. Upcoming future, we have the Nine of Pentacles. It is still in the reverse. This really is the biggest stumbling block. This is Leo still feels somehow like they haven't regrouped. This was, it's crazy though, because Leo may still feel like they haven't quite regrouped, but we saw at the core of everything, the Six of Swords. We actually have seen Leo, and we see that incredible higher perspective. So I think Leo has moved on much more than what Leo gives himself credit for. But in the upcoming future, Leo's like, yeah, it still bothers me though. It still makes me feel less than somehow. It still makes me feel like somehow I guess I wasn't enough to be there for. That is really painful. I so don't want our character to feel this way. Okay, this is an awesome card. We have a Seven of Pentacles. It is sideways. And here's the different timelines, right? We see all of the cards laid out, all the tarot cards here saying, I know I can choose something different. I know all this did was set me on a different timeline. I am the one still hung up on something that already occurred. And I know that it's time to choose the next timeline. And this next timeline is open because of the way things happened in the past. I know it's time to let this go. Look, I'm torn between saying, hey, this Leo gets to feel however they feel for as long as they want. On the other hand, I too would totally support Leo's incredible, intelligence in saying, yeah, but what it did, this was a long time ago. This was a long time ago that this happened. And what it did is it brought Leo to a new, everything in life, everything that doesn't work out, every time we get disappointed, it pushes us into a new set of opportunities, new set of chances to make new selections, new timelines open up. Everything in life, really, we have decision after decision to make every day, all day, that push us down different roads. But this is Leo saying, I know, and I get to embrace the next chapter. I know this already happened. It already played out. I know I'm not really less than. I know this isn't something I should be holding on to because I realize I'm at the precipice of the next chapter. That's good. That's really, really, really good. Let me just see. How does the person that disappointed Leo, how do they feel about anything? We have a Five of Swords. This Five of Swords, I don't know if this person cowered and got scared and hid from Leo, but we have three people here. One is hiding. The other one is big mad and standing there like they're in charge. Maybe this person either got themselves into some kind of trouble, or maybe they were afraid. I don't know if somebody like thundered and, this looks like a matriarch of a family who's like flexing way too much. She got no business telling anybody else where they can go, what staircase they can climb. This almost feels like either there was big hubbub behind the scenes that Leo doesn't know about, and there was huge stress, huge drama, huge arguments, possibly about Leo, or this person is actually mad. I don't think it's them being mad at Leo, though. It's more like the things that Leo doesn't know. We've got the Eight of Swords in the reverse. There's something here where either they got in trouble. Maybe they shouldn't have been messing with Leo. Maybe they had no business. Maybe this is an angry spouse or somebody who said, what do you mean you're falling in love with this Leo? You want to be with this Leo? Oh, no, you don't. You have responsibilities here. This says they think that it was better to let Leo go because they couldn't hold on to Leo, because they got themselves into some kind of hot water. Whatever happened here, I don't think that they intended to hurt Leo. I think that this person, I don't know what let me just look a little closer at that. What was your deal? We've got the Eight of Cups and the Ten of Swords. I keep feeling like they got found out that they wanted to leave. They wanted to do something different. They wanted to go toward their Leo. And I feel like instead they got stopped short. I don't know, how someone or something stops another full-grown adult from doing what they wish to do. But there's obviously this thing of the Scorpion, just like there's that, very imposing, very unpleasant. I mean, this is not a nice person. This is somebody stepping boundaries that they shouldn't step. This is somebody, insisting that I'm in charge of you and your choices. And it feels like they cowered. I don't know if somebody either painted Leo in a bad light or if they just simply intimidated this individual into not pursuing Leo. And then they themselves were like, yeah, I should just let Leo go. Leo shouldn't be stuck with me. It feels like somebody like talked them, got in their head and messed with their mind, especially when they realized this person was going to leave, change something in their life, go be with Leo. And then instead all those plans got ended. It was like a 180. I'm going to leave. I'm going to be with Leo. Oh, you think you're going? No, you're not. And then instead it's like, okay, yeah, right. I'm not going to go be with Leo. This just feels like somebody felt the sting and they were talked right out of pursuing Leo. Look, I don't know what their situation was. If they were already married, that could be the case. We do have the Hierophant. But here they also call it the teacher. Maybe this person would have been the worst case scenario if they had jumped into Leo's world. Maybe they were trying to shirk their responsibilities. I'm giving this person a bad rap saying, wow, it looks like somebody told them that they couldn't go toward Leo. They're not allowed to. They shouldn't. And then they're like, yeah, I guess I shouldn't. I guess I'm not allowed to just pretend I'm single and footloose and fancy free. I should stay away from Leo. If it's because they actually had other responsibilities that they were willing to let go of in order to like imagine that they could be footloose and fancy free, let me put it this way. Leo would not have probably wanted a partner who can so quickly imagine that there's no responsibilities and jump ship and start something else new. Because you know what? If that's what they do, they might have someday done that to Leo too. Of whatever path is easiest, whatever, this feels like somebody held them to responsibilities. And those responsibilities meant that they couldn't be there for Leo. I'm thinking Leo dodged a bullet on this one. I mean, I'm sorry. I know that Leo's been really wounded over this, but this says, I think Leo dodged a bullet and they don't know it. And although it's been really painful, Leo themselves has been working through this. Leo themselves has been coming to this conclusion that, you know what, maybe I shouldn't feel hurt that somebody wasn't there for me. I'm thinking, thank God they did not actually get a chance to jump ship and come toward Leo. What is the outcome just for Leo? Okay, let's take a look. 6 of Cups. Leo will end up with a soulmate. Somebody they can go camping with, somebody that will be magical, somebody that they can really enjoy, possibly all kinds of magical, mystical, long night conversations, sitting by a fire pit, somebody who's not afraid of bugs, somebody who's got like a magical fairy dust to them, somebody who might like gardening. We've got turnips and beets. We've got all the little buggies, of the earth. And it's just this comfort zone. And they're sitting on these little roots and things having this conversation. I feel like the person Leo's meant to be with is more of a soul bond. There's somebody that is part of Leo's like real destiny. And I kind of think, remember, this is about choose the next card, Leo. Pick the next timeline, because Leo's not ending up with the person who already failed to be there for them. And although I know that's a painful thing to say, okay, so that's really over, this just says, in our tree of life, when we grow and we take on this new branch, now guess what? We're going with the new branch. We're not still stuck in this part of the trunk anymore. We're off on this timeline. We're off on this branch. So now it's kind of exciting to follow and see where that branch is going to grow. I actually think this is a great message. Great message. Can we see what happens to the person who basically was convinced to back away or stay away from Leo and maybe stay right where they were? You know what? We have a King of Pentacles in the reverse. They are somebody who I definitely think Leo dodged a bullet, because this could be somebody very selfish. They always want what they want when they want it. They don't really support anybody. Even if they had bounced into Leo's life, if they had disappeared and got off scot-free and come into Leo's world, I don't think this person would have been a real support system to Leo. They would have let Leo down anyway. In this fictional story, and please remember these are fictional, but in this fictional story, this person would have let Leo down one way or the other, because they're always about themselves. That might be why they were first thinking that they could just bounce. Maybe that's why somebody had to actually like yell at them and reel them back in and be like, you're not going anywhere. You don't dip out. You have responsibilities. You have bills to pay. You don't get to leave and go be with Leo. Did you forget you're married? Did you forget, you've got kids to pay for. You're not just leaving. I mean, maybe this was like a big thing. Maybe they were like, oh, I'm just totally gonna like move to a different country to go be with Leo and forget all about, I have mouths to feed here. I have responsibilities. Maybe they've been playing like they were single when they weren't. All I can say is, I know it's a very specific message on that, but this King of Pentacles in the reverse, this is somebody who still believes that they should be entitled to Leo's energy, but I just don't see them as the person for Leo after all. I think that Leo was heavily protected. That Hierophant, Leo thought that this person was going to be their forever person, but we already saw the Hierophant for them. They already had obligations. They shouldn't have been trying to create promises with Leo. So I definitely feel like this card is the most important, I think, and the most exciting. It's about the new timelines for our Leo, but it's also that Six of Cups, that soulmate card. I feel like Leo's on the cusp of meeting somebody who they'll have long, all night conversations, sitting outside, like I said, into the evening by a fire pit, by, just relaxing and just kicking it. I think Leo's about to meet somebody really, really special. And this is the new branch of their tree of life. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks so much for giving it a thumbs up.